Sunni Shia problem, part 2.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Here we are again on Alhamdulillah, another video. I just want to quickly say before I start that in this video, what we're going to try to do today is revisit our own Islamic history, specifically focus on events after the Prophet ﷺ passed away. Our objective is to look at these events and provide our own political analysis of these events in order for us to all gain a greater understanding and a deeper appreciation of our history. That being said, let's go inside and do this. Follow me.
The core. First, we would like to discuss a political concept that's not limited to Islam or Islamic societies, but rather it's a natural law of all human societies. And that is that all successful civilizations or societies throughout time have always had a core group of people that look after the society's well-being as a whole. These people specifically watch over the ideas and the culture of the society. And they're not your average citizen that just happens to live under the system, that comes home from work and cuts the grass. No, they're much more. They are people that truly care about the system and its ideas, and they use all their energy towards being the system's caretakers. Sometimes these people are commonly referred to as the establishment. Now, to better understand this core's role, we would like for you to envision that the society is a ship, and this ship is being driven by ideas. For every society is built upon ideas, and it is these people, this core, that steers the ship towards the correct ideas and away from any alien ideas that might damage the structure of the ship. Also, this core is not stagnant, meaning if one of these people were to pass away, it doesn't mean that the society's ideas die too, or that the society no longer has a caretaker. No, rather the core should be open, so anyone who wishes to be a part of it can, and the current core should be constantly looking for and recruiting new people. Therefore, the core stays strong and intact, and its civilization thrives on. And there's really only one criterion these people absolutely have to meet, and that is that they constantly demonstrate and prove that they hold the system's ideas above anything else, and not only by their tongue, but also by their actions. The Prophet ﷺ's core. Now, like I've already mentioned, this political concept is simply a natural part of every successful civilization. So, of course, this is also true of the Prophet ﷺ and the future Islamic civilization he was about to build. From the very beginning, when the Prophet ﷺ and the first Muslims were just an underground movement, up until he ﷺ was head of state in Medina, the Prophet ﷺ was constantly testing certain individuals' abilities. Everything from testing their loyalty, their allegiance, their strength, and their leadership skills was done in order to build a strong core group of men. In some cases, the Prophet ﷺ would even delegate responsibility, like send one to go be the governor of this area, or assign one to go lead the army into battle. In all, his objective ﷺ was to teach and build this elite core on how to handle the leadership and the people when he ﷺ passes. So this new Islamic civilization will continue to thrive on long after he's gone. The importance of the core. The most effective way for me to demonstrate to you just how important a strong core or establishment is to a society is to look at how the core helps the society during a shock or disaster scenario. If the core is strong, then a shock or disaster will be easily absorbed, and the society will move forward, sometimes at a much stronger pace. However, a core that is weak in the face of a disaster can often result in the collapse of the civilization. And to best understand, here's a couple of examples. Example of strengthening: the U.S. Civil War. In a nutshell, this war started because the South wanted to withdraw or split off from the North, thus leaving the U.S. as two separate countries. In this war, thousands died and suffered, but in the end, it resulted in the North and the South coming together and forming new, stronger ideas. In this now one country was destined to be a future superpower, but only after the core and the ideas they revolved around were built. Example of weakening: the Uthmani Khilafah. Unfortunately, the Uthmani Khilafah is a very good example of the opposite. Near the end of their rule, the leaders in the core made the fatal mistake of switching from Islam as the guiding force behind shaping the society to ideas of nationalism out of all things. In other words, the invasion of new and foreign ideas shook up the core so bad to the point where the ship that was once being steered towards the correct destination now had a crew that basically didn't know which way to go. Thus, the core disbanded and the whole Uthmani state collapsed. Examples during the Prophet's time, ﷺ. The Battle of Uhud, as I'm sure we all know, is the second battle in which the Prophet ﷺ and his new army faced, again against the Quraysh. And I'm sure we've all heard the story of how we lost this battle. This loss was a huge negative shock to the people. But when the Muslims returned to Medina, this loss turned out to be a big positive. Upon returning, many of the weaklings, and more importantly the hypocrites, started coming out of the woodwork, and they tried to exploit this loss in order to create fitna. But again, this was good, because this defeat exposed to the Prophet ﷺ who the hypocrites were. So through this incident, the Prophet ﷺ was able to clean out his core and refocus on the true followers. Thus, a stronger core emerged, and likewise a stronger society. For those who don't know, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, or the treaty where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the Prophet ﷺ to sign a temporary 10-year ceasefire with Quraysh. After the treaty was signed, many in the society started to second guess the Prophet ﷺ's decision in signing this treaty. There were different reasons for this. For instance, some people felt that the treaty put the Muslims at a disadvantage, and some people didn't understand why the Prophet ﷺ agreed to sign a treaty as Muhammad rather than the Prophet of Allah, etc., etc. Now imagine for a second the Prophet ﷺ. Because of this treaty you just signed, troop morale now became very low, and now the people were even second-guessing your decision. This was a huge shock to the Prophet ﷺ. But subhanAllah, it was the Prophet ﷺ's strong core that stood by him after this treaty. Thus, through their conviction, a very shaky situation resulted in the whole society being re-strengthened. So again, strong core, strong society. Now before we get into our history, I just want to quickly say that our main point so far is that every civilization is going to face tests and obstacles. And if the civilization has a strong core of caretakers, a strong establishment, then they can always help guide the civilization through these tests. That said, now let's take a look at events after the Prophet ﷺ passed away.